You're looking at a 1961 Chevy pickup, bone stock basically, original gauges. You can see the add-ons down here. Not exactly riding with the modern times. Today, we're going to bring it up to modern times. Now, gauges like this, they only came in the cheapest trucks. You do have a gauge for your fuel, but your oil pressure, your generator, and your temperature have what's known as an idiot light. They call them idiot lights because if those lights go off, you're probably an idiot. You didn't check your oil, you didn't check your belts and hoses, and now you're on the side of the road. So gauges are always a lot better than your idiot lights. So you'll see these kind of add-ons down here a lot of times. You got oil pressure, volts, and you've got temperature right here. But you can see it's really not that attractive. You can rebuild these and you can add RPM gauges and a lot of stuff like that that wasn't available back in the day. And you can make this all brand new with speedometers, the whole 9 yards, the faces, etc., etc. But if you're going to be doing an LS swap, then this is kind of cumbersome for you because the speedometer cable on the back, it's not going to hook up to an LS conversion, that modern transmission. So for all those kind of reasons, we want to go with something like this right here. You can see it's very, very close to looking stock. We've got analog gauges, and they come in different colors and shapes and sizes and etc., etc. You got a lot of options in these gauge clusters in all the different years. So make sure you go to the website and check it out and see all the different things you can do and what's going to match your interior. Now, the back of this, you'll see, does not have a cable-driven speedometer. Everything's done in a little computer. It's reading all of the sensors and it's sending everything right to here and right to your face. So this is really, really versatile. If you have just a regular old stock 350 combo, you might think, well, this is a little bit overboard, but it's not. This here will work just as comfortably with a standard stock drivetrain in it from original, or if you're doing an LS swap. That's why I really like these, because I can use them for everything. Let's take a look at everything that comes in this kit. Now, your kit might be slightly different because over the years you have some idiosyncrasies, but every kit's going to be basically about like this. You'll have your gauge cluster face, whatever year you picked out, whatever style you picked out. Next, you're going to have this right here. This is how we're going to program the computer. This is how you set your speedometer and your gas gauge. I want you to notice it's got a little pigtail on here. That little pigtail is specifically going to attach right here to our control box, so we don't have to worry or wonder where it goes. Same thing with this cable right here. It's going to go to our control box and then to our gauge cluster face. This right here, this is relatively new. It's a warning buzzer. So I'm assuming that this here goes for like your emergency brake is left on or something like that. Probably programmable for some other things. I got to be honest, I haven't read the instructions just yet on this piece. So we'll find out a little bit later, but you'll also notice it has a specific pigtail and it'll go to a specific place, so you don't have to worry about that either. You also don't have to worry about these right here. Now, these are all the cables that are going to your sending units, okay? I'm going to start off first with our temperature gauge. This here plugs right into that. On the opposite end, you'll see you have the two wires. You'll simply take the end off and you'll put it into its adjacent spot. Another thing I want to point out with your temperature gauge right here is all these fittings that come with it. So this screws into each one of these. Now this right here, big fat one, that's what you typically see in a 350. And then you've got all these different choices. This one right here, if I had to guess, that'd probably be for like a 47 to 53, 235, or a 216 engine right there. But I don't even know what these other ones go for, so you can see how much versatility comes in just the temperature gauge. This right here is your oil pressure. Now your oil pressure, you generally don't have any other choice but this right here. That is basically the same you see year after year, engine after engine, all the way up to LS. You also get a nice neat pigtail that just simply clicks right into that. You can see you get plenty of cord, and here you can see you've got just a couple of more wires that you're going to hook up, but no big deal. You can know exactly where they go because it's written right on it. Now this is the reason that I like this kit more than the others. And the reason is this little thing right here. Now if you've got an LS engine, you've got a computerized transmission, you don't have an old cable drive to run your old speedometer. So you have to buy all these conversions and miscellaneous things like that. It's an additional cost. A lot of times they don't work that great and your speedometer's doing a hinky thing like this. But this is where all the magic happens. So this pigtail right here, it'll fit right into that right there. And that is exactly what an LS engine, modern transmission, is going to hook into. So if you got an LS, you're just going to plug this baby right in. But if you've got a 350 or a 400, you're simply going to screw this into the transmission. You see that right there? That looks just like a cable, don't it? And that's basically what it is. It just screws right in. This is going to spin. It's going to send out an electrical pulse. The cable's going to read it. It's going to go right to your computer. And now you're going to have speedometer, whether or not it's an LS, whether or not you got a 350. Great versatility. These are just some screws that come with the kit and some miscellaneous felt stuff that help you put your face back on, because you're going to use your old face, or at least in this kit right here. And again, different kits, different years. You can see here the cables hook up. You can see the instructions right here. Everything's really labeled nice and easy. We got our pressure sensor. We got our temperature sensor. We got our buzzer right here. You can see how everything hooks up. Here we're looking at the ohms that come with fuel sending types. Here's how you can hook it up to different distributor types. MSD, HEI distributors, etc. Nice color example. Now, you might be looking at all this and you're thinking to yourself, man, that's a lot of wires and this and that and the other. And if you think about all the wires all at the same time, it kind of pops your head. So all you got to do is go to the instructions and just go one wire at a time. So you can see here on the page, it says ground. It gives you some basic instructions. Now we're going to go to 12 volt DC constant. Now we're going to go to ignition power. Ignition power is only when the ignition is turned on. And it's just going to go all the way through that, piece by piece, nice and simple, clean and concise. Now let's say, for instance, you get to some particular thing and you're like, I don't know if I quite understand that. No big deal, man. Just move on to the next thing. By the time you get done doing all the simple stuff, you'll figure out if there's anything complicated and you'll be able to get rid of that too. But you don't even need to do that, because next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install it in this truck for you guys. That's going to be next Tuesday though. So you got to make sure you subscribe. Of course, we're on Facebook and Instagram and all that jazz, but you got to subscribe, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to see this gauge cluster go into this truck or any of the other magic we're making every single Tuesday, baby.